Good evening, Wool Gatherers, and welcome to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 135. Tonight on the show, we are going to review the latest from Iggy Pop called Every Loser. I believe it's his 19th studio album, and it's pretty interesting. I was happy that we were able to do this. We're going to do a little Who's That Band quiz and try to stump Metalhead Mundy, which we never do. And we'll probably chat up a few new things that have happened recently or new music that's out. And as always, this episode is brought to you by the Kokomo Lantern, a journalistic endeavor focused upon the simple principles of illuminating the good and eliminating the shadows in our local community. Head over to kokomolantern.substack.com to sign up for all of that awesome content. Folks over there are doing an amazing job. And joining me tonight is none other than Metalhead Mundy. Let's get inside his head, shall we?
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
And there he is.
Hello, hello, hello. Greetings and salutations.
We are inside his head, inside his mind.
Once again, I'll apologize for that.
It is a scary, dark place to be.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I don't think so.
All right. You would know. You're in there. So I mentioned new stuff. We've been picking up on all kinds of little new things that have come out recently. What you got? Anything exciting?
Oh, I mean, the biggest one for me is, it's right there in the name, Metalhead Mundy. So, of course, I'm a big Metallica fan. I always have been. And they seem to be, I don't know how many they're going to do before the album comes out. It's due in like April, I think. Is that right?
I will find out while you're chatting it up.
I'm pretty sure their new album is coming out in April, but they put out 2 songs so far. They just dropped another one since our last show. It's called Screaming Suicide. And, it's fun. This one didn't hit me as much as Lux Eterna. I don't know. That one just felt like really old school Metallica. This one is it's interesting. The video, first of all, I think it's the same director, and it's got a slightly different feel. Still, it's mostly just them performing and whatever. There's I don't even know what to call it. A little bit of Hetfield doing the, up close on him, and he's making faces and doing all this stuff and whatever. So, that's,
he's being
they
theatrical.
they try to make it interesting, but I don't, it's whatever. But the song, I don't know. I mean, it's fairly straight up rocker. It's not too heavy. It kind of, it's got decent solos. The drums sound pretty big. I will say on this one and the last album, really, but this one too, like they dialed in Lars's drum sound fairly well. They sound nice and full, nice and big. The opening riff of this song kind of reminded me of one of their songs off of Reload called Attitude. It's kind of got a little, I don't know, a little flourish at the beginning, a lot like this song, but that's kind of where the similarities end. The different parts of this song it's a kind of a good blend of almost like different eras of Metallica. Like some of it sounds like Load Reload era, some of it sounds like older stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of a cool mix as far as that goes. The main riff is not my favorite. Like it's not terrible, but it just kind of, I don't know, kind of gets boring after a while. I feel like it just repeats so much. But it's not, which, I don't know, I guess that happens in a lot of songs, but for whatever reason, this one didn't hit me just right. Best part of the song, honestly, is the last 2 minutes. There's cuts into this little kind of chuggy part, and it kind of builds, and I think they really stuck the landing on it. Unfortunately, that's not the entire song, but it's new Metallica. I'm always happy to have new Metallica, and it's good. It's a good song. I don't hate it, but it didn't hit me as much as Lux Eterna did.
I would agree with that. My two takeaways were, the first one was Lars. I thought he was fantastic on this, and I know he catches a lot of crap for not being a great drummer and being very repetitive. And but I thought this was really solid, and I think you're right. The drums really came to the fore on this one, so kudos to him. I think he did a really nice job on it. My second thought was, as these guys get older, their voices usually get deeper. I thought James's voice was a little smoother on this one than he did, not as growly or gruff as some of his previous ones. And that kind of stuck out to me. It was a little different. I thought it was good. I agree with you. It was not as good as Lux.
Both of these two songs they've put out now, James sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, his vocals, he's only gotten better over time, and he's a fantastic singer. He can, especially in Lux Eterna, man, when he hits those high notes and just sustains, and sounds fantastic.
I think it was partly due to the fact that I'm listening to this in between listening to Iggy Pop, and Iggy's 75 and does some sort of ballad type songs, so his voice really comes across like late Cash kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
So James obviously isn't 75, but yeah, his voice did not seem to suffer from age at all.
Yeah,
on this. So good song, not great, good song though.
Yep.
Yes, and I did look. I put it on the screen there for a moment. April 14th is when we will definitely be reviewing that one on the show.
I'm sure. Looking forward to it.
Yep. It's going to be a big month. That'll be also the complete Smashing Pumpkins Autumn, the whole package, all 33 songs. So,
you already pre-ordered that like $230 edition, right?
I did not. And I certainly didn't order the $500 signed version.
Oh, it's worth it. Come on.
I would like to have it, but there are a few Daredevil comics I would rather have for $500. So that will have to wait. I'll probably just get the actual discs when they come out. So, All right. Well, that brings us to a little bit different Who's That Band tonight. Normally we review or read a review and guess. On this one, I have picked out 5. Well, I've got 6, but I'm going to stop at each one and you can guess who the band is. 6 facts about a band.
Okay. Are they all different bands?
No. All 6 are from the same band. So it's going to build and we'll see how quickly you can get it.
I gotcha.
And obviously the easier one or two are at the end.
Sure.
Just in case we don't get there, but I think you'll pick it out pretty quickly.
Okay.
If you get on the first one, I'm going to be like, this band. Good for you. All right. So number 1, one of the band members was included in the band simply because he had the instrument they were looking for. And another band member said it was certainly not for his outgoing personality.
I mean, that could be anyone. Too vague. I don't have a guess on that one.
It was because he had a synth.
Okay.
So that helps. Maybe. You ready?
Yep.
This member of the band penned 9 of the 11 songs on their debut record and then quit right after that record. And he went on to create another band that you would know.
Wow.
If I told you the other band, you'd probably get it. So I'm not going to tell you the other band yet.
Yeah. I don't have it yet.
Okay. In 1988, this band sold out the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. That's over 60,000 people. And at this point, they only had one top 40 hit in America and still sold that out.
1988.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it sound like they're not an American band. Whew. Wow. There's obviously a synth involved somehow, which could be anything.
Although that person could maybe not be in the band now.
I know, but That's, I mean, I'm thinking of like the sound of the band.
Right.
Wow. I really don't have a guess yet. I'm gonna have to hear at least one more.
Okay. This song is arguably the most famous one that they have. It's not the highest ranking or whatever, but it's really famous. But it's about Elvis. It says it was inspired by Priscilla Presley's memoir, Elvis and Me. It's about how Elvis was her man and her mentor, and how often that happens in love's relationships.
Yeah. I know, like, none of this is clicking. I'm sure, like,
this one will. Number
I
5
feel,
will.
I was gonna say, I feel like when it hits, I'm gonna be like, oh, of course.
Okay, in 1995, this member attempted suicide by slashing his wrists. Following year, he overdosed on speedball. It's cocaine and heroin. And his heart stopped for 2 minutes. And he felt his soul leave his body. And he has been clean ever since.
Is it Molly Crew?
Nope, that's a good, yeah, Nikki Sixx. Was that before 95 though?
Yes, it was. It was 95. Wow. 95. Huh. Who the hell OD'd in 95? That was already huge. I don't know.
The name of the band carries a mysterious air of artsy European sophistication. It literally means, in French, fast fashion.
Depeche Mode.
Ding, 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 ding.
I didn't know anybody OD'd in Depeche Mode. Was that Dave Gahan?
Yeah, I just remember because he died. Like, they really thought he wasn't going to make it. Like,
I didn't know that story.
The one I didn't give you was when he left the band, he created Erasure.
Oh, that wouldn't have.
Okay, I just thought that would put you in the mind frame of that style of music. Or that,
yeah, I mean, really, the synth thing did that more than anything. But yeah, wow, yeah, okay,
cool. And Tony's a huge fan too, so I thought that would have been in the wheelhouse. But T-Bags,
right,
a little under the weather. So
yeah, they're that's like, I don't know, one of my very few bucket list bands left on the list. Like, I've never seen them. Unfortunately, to see them, I'm going to have to probably go to a huge stadium show because that seems to be all they do now.
Yeah. I'm with you, though. I'd like to see them too. So
yeah,
maybe they'll come around. All right. Well, that brings us to the 75-year-old Iggy Pop. And when I saw this and I suggested that we think about it, I really felt like this could go one of two ways. Like, this could just be a amazing old guy, or it could be a total, you're trying too hard to recapture something you're not. And I think for the most part, we got the first. I think it was a pretty good record.
Yeah. I've never been a huge Iggy Pop fan. I respect his place in music history. I know because of him, we have a lot of other things that I enjoy. I just never, it's just one of those things that just kind of passed me by. I never really dove in, and I dipped my toe in a couple times, like, okay, I get it, and just wasn't really for me. I was hopeful for this one just because of the band that he gathered, like his core band for this album, all about that. So,
yeah, and interestingly, the producer that he went with on this is kind of like a super hot commodity right now. Andrew Watt.
Yeah, it did all the stuff, the last couple of Ozzy albums, and
he worked with Eddie Vedder, Bieber, Cardi B, Post Malone, Miley Cyrus. He's been, I think he got a Grammy for his production, maybe. I mean, he's gotten some awards. So this guy is young and up and comer, works with a lot of people. So reading some about the record, it sounds like he really pushed Iggy and made him go places he didn't think he was going to go, made him do more songs than he thought he would do. And I think there's a couple on here that really pay off. There are a couple of songs I really love. a lot. I'm just like, sounds okay, but I won't
Same.
take home. But let's
Yeah.
just hit a few right now and see what we think
Well,
here.
before we dive in, I want to mention like the core band behind here. There's a few guests, but I mean, he got like Duff McKagan on bass, Chad Smith on the drums, and Josh Klinghoffer on guitar. Which, I mean, you know, that's a pretty good band to have in the studio. And I think it's interesting too that Chad Smith and Klinghoffer are working together again, because, you know, Klinghoffer's out and Frashani's back in the Chili Peppers, and I've said my piece about that before. I don't really have I don't have a lot of respect for John Frashani, so but yeah, but it's a pretty good band to have backing you up.
Yeah, and then he's got some guests on here as well. Travis Barker plays on Neo Punk, and we've got Stone Gossard on All the Way Down, and we've got Taylor Hawkins on 2 songs, Comments and The Regency. And the interesting comment about Stone Gossard, they must have sparked a little relationship, but he opened for Pearl Jam at one point and said that nobody wanted to hear him. Nobody cared. They were just there for Pearl Jam. So apparently it was not a great opening experience for him.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like that happens a lot. I have been a fan of certain bands long enough to see kind of how the market plays with the popularity and the standing and all that. One of the biggest examples of that for me is I remember seeing Anthrax in I think it was 1993 or 94, and they were on the Sound of White Noise tour. Huge major label, you know, big to do, new singer, big album, big push behind it. Opening for them was White Zombie. So then, like a few years later, maybe let's see, that was probably 94. So I would say like 10, 11 or 12 years later, then I saw Rob Zombie, and opening for him was Anthrax.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so I mean, it happens all the time. It's like, you know, the popularity and the, you know, whatever clout standing in the industry, it goes up and down. So it's funny when you see like a legend like Iggy opening for, you know, Pearl Jam, who's arguably one of the biggest bands in the world at this point.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I imagine too that it's hard for a guy who has had the longevity that he has had and the popularity that he's had to be an opening act for anyone. But
yeah,
but we also know too that the world kind of sucks musically anyway. If you watch any awards show, it's kind of garbage. So
yeah,
it's not surprising at all.
Right.
All right. Well, let's dig in. The first song is called Frenzy, and it is a bit of a frenzy, and it's definitely an old punk pop hit.
Yeah.
Definitely fits that bill of Iggy, I think. And he said, there's some choice words here about somebody, and he said it is definitely about a certain person, and they probably know who they are by listening to the song.
All right.
I'm trying to figure this out. Who said I'm a hater? What did I do?
A hater of who?
Yeah, I didn't say anything mean at all, did I? Oh, yeah, I did. I said new music sucks. Sorry. And not all does. It's frustrating that he gets shoved down our throat, and bands from our time period never get any highlight on anything, ever.
They're old news.
And it's so sad, too, because putting out some good stuff. Did you like Frenzy?
Yeah, it's all right. It's got definitely a punky feel. I feel like I don't know. The lyrics, I feel like it's a little bit, I mean, it's Iggy Pop, and almost feels like shock for shock's sake. Because it's a lot. It's not just like an F-bomb here or there. It's kind of a lot. But yeah, I had a pretty solid groove. This album is so all over the place. It's really varied, the styles on the songs. So it's hard to say if this is a good opener. It's definitely got the energy of an opener. But I don't know if it really sets a tone, because the tone changes so often.
I don't think it was a good album opener. Yeah, it's the upbeat kind of thing you normally get, but it's like so upbeat and in your face, and then boom, strung out Johnny,
It's
mellow. It
totally
slows down
different.
so quickly.
Yeah,
I don't I don't think it was, and this is a very, like you said, it's a strange record. We go from
yeah.
fast, hard to ballad
Hmm.
to, fast again, and then we've got a spoken word, and then we you know he's reading ads out of the newspaper for a minute
Yeah,
on a song. It's
yeah.
like it's kind of a kooky thing. So yeah, it probably would be hard to find a good album opener, but I don't know. I didn't think this one was it.
Yeah, and this was the video I had sent to you about. It was them performing this on Kimmel, and ooh, it was rough, man. I mean, the music. I will say right now, the music through this entire album, spot on, wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
on point, great music. Uh, Iggy's kind of touch and go for me, and man, the live performance on Kimmel was rough. It
It,
was Iggy looked. I mean, he was doing his Iggy gesticulations, and that's him. That's him. I mean, it is. That's what he's always done. But he just sounded like he was out of breath the whole time. Sounded
yeah,
terrible.
that's why I think on this record, I really gravitate to the songs where he's kind of crooning,
Yeah,
because that old gravelly voice sounds great, but he's not forced to, speed up his tempo and jump around and do his whole thing. So I agree that that rendition on Kimmel was pretty tough to listen to.
I gotta say on this album, like I don't think his vocals. There's ever a time where he sounds horrible on the record. But I mean, it's the studio. You can do it
Yeah,
a million
exactly.
times. You can clean it up with electronics. He sounds fine on the record, but delivering this song
Mhm.
specifically live was not good.
Mhm. There's a couple where I wonder if they adjust it a little bit. He surprisingly sounds super clean,
Hmm.
where when he's actually singing on like Strung Out Johnny and Morning Show, it's rough. But then when
Mhm.
he's a little fast paced, some of them just seem almost too clean. Could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what they do with it. But that does bring us to the second song, Strung Out Johnny. And this was probably my second or third favorite song on the record. He said
Same.
it could be about anyone, but he
Mhm.
certainly has personal experience telling the story of somebody who's strung out. And I love where he says the first time you do it with a friend, the second time you do it in bed, third time you can't get enough, and then your life gets all effed up.
Yeah.
And he would certainly know. And I thought the chorus here was really catchy too.
Yeah, this was one. And I came back to this so many times. Just I'm a huge fan of Duff McKagan, and man, he is spectacular on this album. There's so many songs that have really great bass lines, and they didn't drop him in the mix, so you can hear him really well. And this is one of them. The bass and the keyboards on this song I thought were really good. And yeah, this is kind of that. I don't know if it's a sweet spot for Iggy's vocals, but it's more the, not pushed. He's kind of sit back and relaxed in the deep voice and the, whatever. I don't know. But this one, I really like this song. I would be probably right along with you. I was definitely in my top three, maybe two or three.
Yep. Yeah, it was good. And then that leads us to New Atlantis, which is a sort of an homage to his home where he's lived for years and years in Miami.
Miami.
This was a strange, like it opens with spoken word, and then then it kind of snaps up and it's got this catchy chorus, and then the verses are more melodic. It's an interesting song. I didn't dislike it. Just arranged strangely or differently, I guess, than we're used to. So maybe that's not such a bad thing. But yeah, cool homage to his hometown, I think.
Yeah, the spoken word thing was, I mean, it works. It's kind of interesting as long as you're not doing it too much. But it definitely worked on this song. And it was kind of cool how they came, like he did the chorus and then came back to the spoken word and then sung some more. And I think it worked for the song. But anytime I hear Iggy Pop do spoken word stuff like this, it always makes me think of Black Sunshine from White Zombie.
Yeah, I don't know. But did you like it overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's most of this album is like, I mean, it's all right, it's okay, you know. And
That,
like I said, the music is great on this whole album.
yeah, and modern day rip off the next song when you just said is like, this is where I am with that one. It was a real high energy punk song.
Yeah,
It was a song he originally didn't want to do. Maybe it shows. I don't know. This was one of my least favorites, probably. I don't know. It was okay. I just didn't really gravitate to it.
yeah. This one again for me, fantastic bass work from Duff. What I thought was interesting about this one is like in the beginning, there's kind of like this little promise of some like old time boogie woogie rock and roll piano, and then it just kind of goes away.
Gone. Yep.
And I'm like, oh man, they should have hung with that. That would have been fantastic. Like I love that stuff. Big fan of like, Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard and all that stuff. I would love some of that, more of that.
Yeah, Billy Idol did a little of that on a few of his records, and it came across really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just going to call that a misstep.
Yeah,
that's what I'm calling it anyway. The next one, I think this might be my favorite song on the record, Morning Show. It's definitely top 2 with one of them coming up, but I love the idea of putting on a good face. Even when things are bad, you're depressed, but you got to put on this good face and go on according. The Morning Show. He likened it to Tears of a Clown by Smokey in its content or whatever, and I just love his voice on this one. It's really it's slowed down again, so you got that sort of grizzly old guy, and it's got a catchy chorus, and it's just I think a really cool song. I love the idea and the whole concept, so I think it might be my fave.
That's cool. I don't really have anything to add to that. I really enjoyed his vocals on this song. I don't. That's it.
Did you enjoy the vocals on the News for Andy about Andy Warhol?
No, I did not. These interludes there's 2 of these interludes, and I don't know, they just feel silly to me. I don't really know what the point of them is other than to add like 2.5 minutes to the record.
It came from Andy Warhol on a thing he had when he was staying at a hotel where he was, and he said something about reading. I don't know exactly how it went, but when they start talking about this, and he talks about the Andrew Watt, should we do this? Yeah, let's do it. Why? Nobody is going to listen to it. Once you listen to it one time and you realize what it is, if you're listening to this, you don't want to listen straight through. I don't understand these kind of things, but we're just getting old and curmudgeonly, maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. Are we though? Because Iggy's 75 and he did it. So
this is true, and he's probably grumpier than we are.
So
okay, good point. I'm going with that. So all right, News for Andy, total stinker. One of the bottom 2 on the record.
Yeah.
That brings us to Neo Punk. This one's got Travis Barker on the drums and does an excellent job. I'm not a huge Blink 182 fan, but he does an excellent job on the drums here.
Travis Barker's a ridiculous drummer. I mean, you can listen to his hip hop stuff. Outstanding. I think he did like at least one record with, is it Yellow Wolf?
Yeah.
Unreal. Unreal. It's so good. But yeah, he's a great drummer. I'm not a huge Blink 182 fan either, but yeah, this song Neopunk, it's right there in the title. It's kind of, the lyrics are kind of an indictment of fake wannabe punks, which I'm sure Iggy has seen his fair share of, being, one of the original kind of proto-punk rockers. And yeah, I mean, the music's okay. I didn't love this song, but
yeah, conceptually I loved it. I love how that it, like you said, like the fake punk, it just pervades society in every way. So conceptually I really dig the song. I didn't love it overall. It didn't have anything new to say. As far musically, it didn't for me.
Yeah.
Facebook user says he loves Iggy and the raw sense of love for an artist, and I would agree with that, and that's why we chose to do this record. Same goes with Andy Warhol. Yep. But if Andy tells him to read anything else, I'm not listening to it. And yes, Travis Barker does rock. We agree.
Yeah. I gotta say, I'm not a huge Andy Warhol fan. I mean, I don't know. Like I sort of respect his place in history, but he's not someone I ever gravitate to when I want to look at art.
You don't like soup cans? Come on.
Yeah.
Now, there's a whole thing there. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Campbell's soup. Yep. Next song has Stone Gossard from Pearl Jam on this one. And this one's all the way down. For me, of all the songs on the record, it felt like the most straightforward rock song. It seemed like we had like pop punk songs or we had some ballads, but this one just felt up like a little bit smoother, just more like a rock song to me.
Yeah, it didn't make a huge impression on me. I didn't even write any notes down on it. I just was kind of it's not really the middle of the record, but I don't know. It's kind of felt like filler for me.
Yeah, I didn't love it either. The next song, Comments, this one did hit me. This is one of my top 3. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 for me, but when you started talking about the bass, this one starts off with a super cool bass groove.
Yep.
And then it comes in, it's got a 80s vibe to it. I thought kind of that post-punk 80s sound, which I really dig. And talks about the brutality of comments online and how it's just one way or the other. There's no middle ground. I thought it was pretty cool. And Taylor Hawkins is on this one as well.
Yeah, this was probably my favorite on the album. And I pretty much everything you said, I would second. The bass and the keys on this song are fantastic. Obviously, I mean, the drums, I didn't know it was Taylor, but that, that kind of, might bump it up a notch or two. But I like this song a lot.
I'm going to let you talk about My Animus because here we go again. Was this 3 lines?
Yeah, I'd say the only thing I would have to say about it is it's an interlude. It's kind of silly, and it's just really like I feel like it's just filling time, like making the album length. Like there's nothing here.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I will never ever listen to it again. It's total filler. Then we come to the last song on the record, The Regency, and I think this was probably a pretty good album closer. This is probably my 4th or 5th favorite. It does a lot of different things. I wish it could hold phones, but it does like a lot of the different things Iggy's doing on this record all in one song. So I think that kind of ties up the record pretty well. Yeah. And it's catchy. And again, it's got Taylor Hawkins on it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this was probably this one and Strung Out Johnny kind of, my 2 and 3 didn't really matter which order you put them in. I really love the music and the vocals on this one worked really well together. I didn't love the lyrics, but the song itself is really good.
I
dug it.
I'm glad you brought up the lyrics because I was reading comments by him about this being about a parking lot. And it does mention it in there one time, but I'm like trying to make heads or tails of it. And I get that we can have enigmatic lyrics or whatever, but the lyrics were just strange to me, other than just being angry at the Regency. Which if this is a rebellious song and that's what it's about, fine. But I couldn't figure the lyrics out.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like it's one of those things where when he's singing, F the Regency, F the Regency, like it sounds great, but I'm like, why are we mad at the Regency?
What they do to anybody?
And it's just like it's weird. I don't know, but I like the song.
Apparently, they charge too much to have people park in their parking lots because they're pissed about that.
Something I don't know. This is the old get off my lawn Iggy. I guess I don't know.
By the way, that was a great impression of Iggy you just did there. I think you got a future, pal.
I'm trying. I'm working on some stuff.
It's Mundy Pop. Here he comes.
I saw somewhere in town's getting ready to open up. They're considering open up a, open mic night. So I'm working on some stuff.
Nice.
Nope.
No. Fine. Be that way. All right. So we got to rate it now. We can't do a record without rating it. So what do you give it? You going to listen again?
I would probably give this, just based on the music and the musicians involved alone, probably a 2.75. And yeah, I will likely not listen to much of this again. Maybe a couple songs.
Yeah. I'm kind of right in there with you in that 2.5 to 3 range.
Yeah.
The 3 songs I really like. The rest of them are all just kind of, they all kind of flow together and they don't really do much for me. So I think that 2.5, 2.75 range is pretty good. Will I listen again to those 3 songs? Yeah. Definitely not listening to My Animus or The News for Andy. ain't happening. Not on my watch. All right. Well,
this is one of those albums where, like, I had it playing and I wasn't, like, I'm kind of listening but doing other stuff, and then it ends and I'm like, oh, is that it? I'm like, oh, mercifully short. Okay.
If that's your thought, it's not a good thing, right?
Yeah. Then, like, when I started digging in, then I'm like, okay, well, I like this, and not that so much, but yeah. It's one of those things where it's okay, but it's easy to pick apart.
Yeah, agreed. I'm glad we did listen to it, though. It's kind of interesting, a guy like that, just to see what he has to offer.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't just one note. It was all over the place, and he definitely reached out and tried some different things. So
I wonder how much of that, I would be interested to know who wrote what and how much of that was the influence of Andrew Watt. Because I know with the Ozzy stuff, he was very involved with the songwriting.
Watt wrote a lot of this.
Yeah, so that makes sense to me. That makes total sense to me.
Yeah. That dude must be pretty talented.
Yeah. Well, he's working, and he's getting some big names.
Yeah, he's the new Rick Rubin.
He seems to be a lot more hands-on than Rick Rubin.
If he's writing music, I would say so.
Rubin's got it dialed in, man. He shows up like once a month and sits there and closes his eyes and does this. And they're like, hey, try this. I'll see you in a month.
Let me know how it goes.
Hey, I produced this.
Yeah. Well, when you got a name like that, you can get away with that, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like next week, possibly, the second part of Autumn is out. So we'll probably be doing that. If that indeed is not out, that's just what we saw on the release list. So if that's not out, we'll pick up something else. And it may be something older. Maybe we'll see if there's a anniversary. Like this week, we had the anniversary issue with Pink Floyd. And then the cool thing was, like, a couple days after that, it was the Animals' 46th anniversary. So big anniversary period.
The whole Dark Side of the Moon thing's cracking me up. It's cracking me up, and it kind of just makes me hate the world more. Like, it kicks up my misanthropy so much more. Like, people are dumb.
People have to be right fighters. They got to find something to be angry about.
It's just so dumb.
By. It is.
I mean, it's just like, I don't know, something like that. I mean, it's like, this album is 50 years old. It's right there on the cover, people. Like, it's there. It's there.
It's been there for 50 years.
50 years. Oof.
Yep. It predates Pride. I know. People are dumb. Anyway, so that was cool. And then Animals having their 46 is pretty cool as well. So,
yeah.
All right, Mr. Mundy, we're going to be away for a week. So if people want to find you somewhere and see what's going on with the Metalhead, where do they go?
It's Instagram's the easiest place, at Metalhead Mundy. You can see the spelling right there. Hit me up.
Hit it. Don't hit him. Hit him up. That's very different. Very different. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Foggy's Pal. And you can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, and SoundCloud. How about that? There's no reason not to listen to us. You know how many places you can find us? It's insane.
Yeah, I know.
So find us, people. Rate us. Give us a review. Tell us what we can do better. share with your friends, like, subscribe, do all that stuff, because
That
we would
really
like to have
that
people back.
I feel like we should say that stuff up top too. I don't, honestly, like, if you like what we do, the best thing you can do, share it, let your friends know, rate, review, all of that stuff drives more people to the show, get some more eyeballs on us. We like, we're not trying to get rich and famous here, but it'd be nice to have somebody to interact with.
Yes, more people live. That would be the goal. That's fun. I like it when people comment on the show, and we just like to talk about music and listen to new stuff. So,
Yep.
All right. And if you want to throw money our way, do it. We don't care. All right, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday evening at 7:00 for likely Smashing Pumpkins. If not, it will be musical. We'll see you next time. Bye now.